بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا الأولين والآخرين مدد يا رسول الله إلى سادة أصحاب رسول الله إلى مشاهدنا دستور مولانا شاء الله فاز داستان شاء محمد نعم وفعل وداد طريقتنا الصحبة والخير في الجميع. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا تداينتم دين فاكتبوه Allah Azze ve Celle sadakallahu azim. Borç aldığınız vakit muhakkak
Allah Almighty says that when you borrow money or when you take a loan,
yazın diyor.
it is important for you that you should write it down and make a written agreement.
Allah Azze ve Celle
This is Allah Almighty's command.
Birinden borç aldın mı, verdin mi?
If you borrow money from someone, if you take a loan,
Muhakkak yazın diyor.
you must make a written agreement.
Bu herkese geçerli diyor.
And this applies to everyone.
Allah Azze ve Celle
And Allah Almighty does not make any exceptions to this.
kardeş kardeşe,
There is no exception for brothers.
amcaya, dayıya,
There is no exception for relatives such as aunts or uncles.
halaya, teyzeye, arkadaşa
There is no exception for any relative or for any friends.
yazmayın demiyor.
If you take a loan, if you borrow money, whoever it is you take that money from, you should make a written agreement according to Allah Almighty's law.
Yazın diyor. Herkes için yazsın.
Write it down, whoever you make an agreement with.
Çünkü insanoğlu hem unutur
Because people are forgetful.
hem nefsi var.
And on the other side, people have egos.
Nefis insanı kandırabiliyor.
And your ego may easily fool you.
Hani helaldi, haramdı.
And the ego does not distinguish between the permissible or the forbidden.
Şey yapınca, nefse gelince hepsi birdir.
For the ego, everything is just about the ego, and the ego doesn't care whether something halal or haram. It just wants to make profit.
Hepsini kazanç zanneder.
The ego will look into all possible ways in order to benefit itself, in order to gain something, in order to profit itself, regardless of whether it's permissible or forbidden.
Onun için bu şeyi muhakkak yazın ki
Therefore, we must make written agreements
sonra problem olmasın.
in order to avoid upcoming conflicts or arguments.
Bize Şeyh Baba'ya kaç kişi geldi yani.
So many people came to Mawlana Sheikh Nazim back then, and they still come to us today with complaints about these matters.
Bu adama borç verdim.
And they complain about the situation that they gave money to someone, that they borrowed money to someone.
Şey yapmadım. Bir iş yapacağız. Borç verdik, şey yaptık.
Or they say, we wanted to make a cooperation and I borrowed money.
Güvendik, vermedi.
And we trusted that person, but that person did not return that money.
Ne yapacağız?
What should we do? They ask.
Git şikayet et dedi.
And then Sheikh Nazim said, go and file a complaint.
Başta soruyoruz. Kağıt yaptınız mı? Yok.
And then we ask, do you have a written agreement for what you were going to do or for the money you borrowed?
Ne yapalım şimdi?
They say, no, we don't. What can we do then?
O vakit tavsiyemiz ona git bir tane bir bardak su iç.
Then our advice is go and drink a cup of water.
O kadar.
That's all you can do.
Yani bir şey alamazsın.
There's nothing you can get back.
Çünkü sen Allah Azze ve Celle'nin emrini yerine getirmedin.
Because you did not fulfill Allah Almighty's order.
Başına gelen cezada onu çekeceksin.
And now you pay the price for not having made a written agreement.
Sonra ders olsun.
May this be a lesson to you.
Başka şey demiyoruz.
There's nothing else we can say.
Çünkü şey yok, kağıt yok, evrak yok, mahkemeye gideceksin.
Without a written agreement, you have nothing. And even if you went to court,
Nerede bunun delili?
The court will ask for evidence or for proof.
zaten dünya kadar davalar var. Senin davan gelene kadar
And even if you went to court, there are so many cases that are still running, and it would take such a long time for your case to be the next.
10 sene geçecek.
Maybe 10 years will pass,
Gelse de 10 sene sonra bir şey kazanamazsın. Kazansan
and after 10 years, there's nothing to be gained any longer.
da o para 5 para etmez.
And even if you got that money after 10 years, that money after 10 years will be worth nothing.
Gitmiş olur.
That money will be just as good as if it were gone.
Onun için bu mühim şeydir.
This is an important matter to consider.
Borç mühim şeydir.
When it comes to borrowing money or loaning money,
Aslında hani borç alan da o borcu vermemekle uyanıklık yaptım, bir şey kazandın zannetmesin.
and those who think that they borrowed money from someone and now have something should not think that they are now in the advantage.
Onun dünyada da faydası yok, ahirette de faydası yok.
If you do not return that money will not be of any use for you, neither in this world nor in the hereafter.
Onun için Kur'an-ı Azimüşşan'da yine bir kişi öldü mü mirasçılara şu kadar bu kadar, ama ondan önce borç varsa borç ödenecek.
And that's why it's so important, if you have a debt, it's a very important matter in Islam, that when somebody dies, before it comes about the inheritance, the first matter to be cleared and the first matter to be solved is, does that person who has deceased has any debts, and these debts need to be solved.
Ondan sonra kalan mallar taksim olacak.
And once the debts have been paid, then all the belongings can be distributed, all the remaining belongings can be distributed to the inheritors.
Tabii şimdiki şeyler insanlar zaten çoğu borç vermiyor çünkü bu meselelerden dolayı.
These days people no longer give loans or they do not want to borrow money because of these reasons.
Bir de borç vermeyince insanlar bankadan alıyor, oradan buradan alıyor.
That's why people go to banks in order to get a loan.
O zaten banka onun insanın borçlarını ölse de ölmese de bir türlü o karşılığı vardır onun.
And the banks have their ways in order to ensure that even if a person would not be able to pay that money back, or if that person died, they have their ways and means to get what is theirs.
Ona karşılık bir teminat vermiştir, onu alıyor.
And before you can take a loan, there's an insurance you need to provide, and they will simply then claim that insurance for themselves.
Ama dediğimiz gibi böyle saf değil de artık saflık demek aptallık demek bazen.
And these people who do not make written agreements, these are not naive people, which would be, it is stupidity.
Çünkü Allah'ın emrini yerine getirmedin mi sen aklından noksanlık var demek.
It is stupidity because if you do not fulfill Allah Almighty's orders, that means that there is something wrong with your mind.
Hem Allah Azze ve Celle'nin emri hem insanların bilinen şey öyle.
And to make a written agreement is not only a command and order by Allah Almighty, but it's also common practice when it comes to do business or to do an affair.
Onun için Allah'ın emri insanlara faydalıdır.
To fulfill Allah Almighty's orders is for the benefit and the advantage of people.
O emri yaparken de, yazarken de sen emri yerine getirdin diye ona da ayrı bir sevap kazanırsın.
And you will be rewarded for making written agreements, because by making a written agreement, you do not only ensure your worldly business, but you will also be rewarded by Allah Almighty for having fulfilled His command.
Allah'ın emrine yer getiriyoruz. Ya olur mu biz arkadaşız, şuyuz, buyuz.
It doesn't matter. Make a written agreement. Don't just trust those who say we are good friends, we don't need written agreements.
Gerekmez Olmaz.
No, there has to be a written agreement, even among friends.
Bu Allah Azze ve Celle'nin emridir.
This is Allah Almighty's order.
Kur'an'da yazıyor.
And this is what is written in the Holy Quran.
Bunu yapacağız.
And we must follow and abide by these rules.
Dersin yok yapmam derse defol git dersiniz.
And if that person still does not want to make a written agreement, then just tell him, go to hell.
Oldu bitti. Allah muhafaza
Don't work with somebody who does not want to make a written agreement.
etsin. Nefsimizin şerlerinden
May Allah Almighty protect us from the evil of our egos.
ne kadar hacı hoca da olsa 10 defa 20 defa da hacca gitse
Don't believe those who claim to be religious people, even those who claim to be Hojas or Hajis, who have went to Hajj 10 times, 20 times.
gene nefsine uyar.
It doesn't matter. Everyone is inclined to follow their egos.
Yani bunu çok gördük.
And this is a common thing which we have witnessed many times.
Çok insanları kandıran oldu.
There are many people who have betrayed and cheated on people.
Sarıkla sakalla
And those people used to wear turbans, they had beards,
hacılıkla
they were hajis,
hocalıkla
they were hojas.
çok daha fazla kandırabiliyor insan.
And those people, even one needs to be very cautious about those people even more, because they can fool people more easily.
Ama o kendini kandırmış oluyor.
But they do not fool or cheat people. They actually betray or fool themselves.
Allah şerlerinden muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty protect us from their evil.
Hem onu hem şeytan şerrinden,
And may Allah Almighty protect us from the evil of shaitan.
nefsimizin şerrinden Allah muhafaza etsin. Ve Allah tevfik. El Fatiha.